Was Tupac and Michael Jackson ever going to work together?
I heard that rumor.
Okay.
Matter of fact, Pac mentioned one time that he was called to the studio to do a song for Michael Jackson, to lay a verse. And he told his mother, his family, he was excited, and he went to the studio. And he's like, "Where's Michael Jackson?" And they said, "Oh, he can't come. He wants you to lay the verse." He got up and left. He's like, "Man, he's not man," and that's Michael Jackson. He's like, "Man, he wasn't man enough to come say hi to me and speak to me. I don't want to get on the song." Yeah. I remember he mentioned that to us.
Dang, that's crazy, man. So he walked out
On the opportunity to do
with Michael Jackson,
because he was more about ethics and morals. Like, we look up to you. If you want me on the song, at least come say hi to me. So he look at it now. That's normal, I guess. People just send tracks here, but Pac look at it like, you can't come speak to me. I don't want to get on your song because, I don't think Pac was just doing stuff for money. Like, it was more personal if he get on the record with you and stuff like that. He didn't really care about the money.
Yeah. Okay. I interviewed Kendrick Wells a couple years back, and he mentioned something that I don't really hear people talk about too much, and that's that Tupac had a big gun collection. Yeah.
Kendrick Wells is from the Bay, right? I think that's Pac homie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they went to high school together.
Yeah, shot him. We used to drive him crazy, bro. I know he probably told you. As outlaws, we used to pick on him all the time. But he's a good dude, very funny dude, good dude. And yeah, they did go to high school together. Yeah, Pac was a fanatic when it came to guns. I think that was something because of his Black Panther upbringing. He come from that where he was taught how to shoot as a kid. It's part of him growing up. So he loved guns, bro.
Can you name some of the guns that he had?
AR-15s, all types of nons, Glocks. You know what I mean? He had guns that machine, like automatic weapons. I don't even know what they was. He had a big case in his house in Calabasas, and he used to just collect all types of guns, Do
you know what happened to all these guns after he passed away?
Good question.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. It's crazy.
Okay. Monster and Cody and Tupac had a friendship.
Yes.
Can you speak on that a little bit, or how the friendship became, or?
I'm not sure exactly how they met, but I know Monster Cody and Pac, they had a lot of respect for each other. Like, they really, really had a lot of respect for each other up until Pac passed away. I just remember him always talking about Monster Cody. So it might have just been like a mutual friend. And but I don't know how they met, I never met Monster Cody. I never saw him around Pac. But because, Pac, when he came back when we was around him in LA, it was only for like a year and a couple months. But I do know he had a very good relationship with Monster Cody.
At some point, Tupac meets Kidada Jones.
Yes.
How did we don't really get to hear about too much about their relationship and how things were for them. Is there any, insight to that? Or
and Pac loved her. He wanted to marry her. I believe they was engaged. He really loved her. He wanted to marry her. They were speaking about getting married. He had a lot of respect for Kidada Jones. The way they met, it was crazy the way they met because, Pac was very controversial. I think he said something in an interview about Quincy Jones always messing with white women. And Rashida Jones, who was a sister of Kidada Jones, she wrote Pac back in a very respectful manner, but put him in his place to the point where he had to respect that. He was like, what she said made sense. She put him in his place in a respectful manner regarding that it doesn't matter if what race a person is. If my father married my mother because he loved her, this and this and that. Like, she broke it down to him with Pop. Was like, I had to respect that. I said something, she said something. Well, I had to respect it. So when he met Kidada, he thought she was Rashida. He went to her, like, I read what you wrote about me, and I just want to tell you I respect that, and I apologize what I said about your father and your mother. And she's like, no, that was my sister, and that's how they met.
Okay.
So he went from talking, now he about to marry a woman with a white mother. That's how things happen, you know what I mean?
Is there any stories of hanging out with them you could share?
Kidada was always around, but she was quiet. She was just like, she carried herself very respectful. You know what I mean? Like, she was always around. She'd come to the house. She'd speak to us. But her and Pac could go do their own thing all the time. She was cool. Kidada was a very cool, respectful person.
Okay. Tupac gets to Death Row, and I've seen interviews where he was just hyped to work with Dr. Dre.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying?
yes,
Like,
yes.
you
I
know,
think at the beginning, of course, who wouldn't it be? But I know once he started working, he was just working. It doesn't matter if you was Dr. Dre, Johnny J, whoever come in with a dope beat, Pac would rap on it. You know what I mean? Like if he was just more concerned of Dre, he would have probably had thousands of Dre songs, hundreds, I mean. But Pac just was a person who wanted to work. At the beginning, he was excited to work with Dre. Then after that, it just went to the point where I just want to work. You know, he would do 4 or 5 songs a day.
where do you think things started to go bad between Dre and Death Row?
I think Dre probably matured more than many of us. You got to understand when you, like Dre was making money, who want to be around, you know, maybe our mindsets was different then. Like I can sometimes look back and say we was in the midst of it, but when you get older, you realize that how can you survive and thrive and be a professional and make money if your environment is just hostile? After a while, you got to make a decision and say, you know what I mean, we can't keep this up. And I think Dre was a person where he got tired of the drama. You know what I mean? He loved to do music. He loved to be entertainment. He was going more into a business person. You don't want to walk in the studio every day, people behind you getting slapped, and you know what I mean, and this person getting beat up. I guess Dre got tired of it. He matured, you know, earlier than the rest of us, in my opinion.
Now, Dr. Dre at one point decides he wants to leave Death Row.
Yes.
And this is where kind of Tupac kind of starts to go off on Dr. Dre and everything.
Yeah.
What was going on during that time where, you know what I'm saying, how did Tupac kind of feel towards everything?
I think Pac felt, you know what I mean, he probably looked at it like Dre was like, you know, jumping ship, like wasn't being down with them anymore. You gotta understand, Pac was only 25 years old. Dre was mature at that time. Dre was, you know, I'm sure that if Pac would have survived and become, you know, and become older, he would have looked back at it and probably said, I understand Dre now. Because Dre probably just didn't want to continue to be around that type of stuff, you know what I mean? But Pac was just like looking at it like, okay, you're supposed to be down with the team and now you're leaving, so I'm gonna diss you. That's how he was. But Dre never responded. He was like, he never even responded back to Pac.
I seen somewhere that Tupac wanted Dre's address. He wanted to go to his house.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know? Never
I
heard
don't
of that?
know about that.
Okay. Was Tupac mad that Dre didn't support Snoop at his trial?
I heard that, you know what I mean? I heard that Pac was mad because he looked at it like, why Dr. Dre not coming to support Snoop at that? Because Pac was there all the time. So I think that probably was the first of this, you know, things changing towards, you know, Dre and Pac and Death Row. You know what I mean?
How did things change after Dre left?
I think once Dre, how many months after Dre left did Pac pass away? It probably wasn't too many months after. You know what I mean?
Probably not.
I think everything changed when Pac died, really, because Death Row could have continued after Dre. They still had Pac, they had Snoop, they had the Dog Pound, Lady of Rage, and people like that. But I think when Pac died and Suge went to jail is when everything just fell apart.
Yeah.
That was the beginning of everything falling apart. That was the beginning of everything going downhill.